I'm here to present AB 1136, the Mixed Martial Arts Pension Bill. This bill is necessary for our state to provide much-needed benefits and protection to athletes in the highly competitive and physically demanding sport of mixed martial arts. AB 1136 will ensure that licensed professional mixed martial arts fighters have access to a pension fund. This pension fund comes at no cost to taxpayers and will be financed through ticket sales, the sales of sports paraphernalia, and souvenirs. This would expand on current existing law that has enabled licensed professional boxers to have access to a pension fund. Licensed professional MMA fighters currently do not have a pension fund, although boxers in California do. AB 1136 would make MMA fighters at 50 years old eligible to automatically receive a pension. It would be financed through the ticket sales, sports paraphernalia, and souvenirs, and specifically for every ticket sold, $1 would go towards the MMA fighters' pension fund. MMA fighters would become vested between 12 and 14 fights, which is around 39 scheduled rounds at commission-regulated MMA events. One thing that you all may be aware of is that California is the biggest state in the country for MMA fighters and MMA events. We have the most fights and the most fighters. And this is a sport that we regulate through the California Athletic Commission. We authorize these events. We ensure the health and safety of these fighters at these events. And we have a responsibility to them as the regulators of this sport to allow them to be healthy and retire with dignity when they're done fighting. With me here today are some very special guests in support of AB 1136. We have Mr. Herb Dean and Mr. Cesar Gracie, who are renowned professionals and internationally recognized experts in the sport of mixed martial arts. They devoted their career and their lives to the sport for several decades. And we also have the bill's sponsors from the California Athletic Commission, Chair Peter Villegas, and Andy Foster from the Commission's who is the Commission's Executive Director, and Ken Swenson, the Commission's General Counsel. They are available as subject matter experts on the bill. I first want to turn it over to Mr. Dean, who is one of the most renowned referees in this sport in the world, and we're very grateful to have him here in his expertise on this bill. Mr. Dean.
Thank you. First of all, I'm happy to be here talking to you. I've been involved in mixed martial arts as a referee for 25 years. I've been involved in martial arts all my life. I've had the fortune to be able to travel throughout the world on a continual basis refereeing mixed martial arts, and that is because I'm from California. By the time I started refereeing in the UFC, I had already refereed more matches than anybody else in the world who does this. And so I wanted to express to you the fact that California is a leader. I guess there's three things that I really wanted to talk to you about. First of all, of course, I'm biased. I believe that mixed martial arts is the best sport on this earth. And I think there's some things that prove it. I think that it's a new sport and that it's already rivals. Its only rival is soccer in this world as far as for sports that are watched. It draws from all the other combat sports. And that's the other thing I wanted to mention is that combat sports are essential to developing well-rounded and well-adjusted adults. Many people, especially young men, get caught up dealing with figuring out safety in their world. And mixed martial arts is a big part of that. And if they're not able to figure that out, they have a hard time going on to figure out the other things that they need to do to enjoy life. And we see the people who don't figure it out, and we know where they are today. The third thing is the reason why I'm talking to you is because we all work together. I'm your employee. I'm your representative in the ring, in the cage. And I take care of making sure that the fights are fair. I make sure that the athletes don't receive any unnecessary injuries. And as far as how we feel about our job, my job is a sacred trust because unlike other sports, you know, I think it's going to be maybe 12 to 14 fights before a fighter's vested. That's a big career. So each time these guys get in the cage, each fight is the most important fight of their career, and they're laying it all out there unlike in any other sport. Very few people can do it. So it's a sacred trust to look after them. I know my parts, and then there's the physicians who we work with who look after them medically. But then also it's our job to make sure we look after the fighters financially. And that's above my pay grade. That's why we're here talking to you. That's your part. And so I'm just here to ask you to support this bill. We have a good thing here in California. We're the leaders. We have Andy Foster, who's our executive director, who's probably as a regulatory leader has been the best thing that has happened to the sport. We have Peter Villegas here, who when he's around on his watch, we know he's asking questions. We know he's looking at everything, and he's looking for a way to make things better than they were before he got here. And so that's why we're here today.
Thank you. Next witness.
Good morning to all you, and thank you for having me speak here. My name is Cesar Gracie. I was fortunate enough to have started the second jiu-jitsu school in the country, and the very first one here in Northern California. I've also been involved as a trainer, manager, and occasional participant in mixed martial arts since its inception in the early 1990s. During the course of events, I have been closely associated with several MMA fighters. Unfortunately, many of the MMA practitioners who have given most of their adult lives working in MMA, prize fighting, making fight organization loads of money, have reached the end of their careers with almost nothing to show for it. As you are aware, this issue became so prevalent in the sport of boxing that legislation was passed ensuring that boxers were eligible for a pension upon retiring. It's a travesty that MMA fighters have been victimized by falling into a loophole awaiting legislative remedy. I urge this legislature to finally close this loophole in the law by passing Bill AB 1136. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? With that, do we have any support, in support out there? If we have support, please come to the microphone. Just your name and support. Thank you.
I'm here with my chair at the Athletic Commission. My name's Andy Foster, and we support the bill.
Thank you. All right, bringing it back, do we have anybody speaking in opposition? Testimony or in the audience? We have a motion and a second. Would you like to make any closing remarks?
Well, again, I want to thank the committee. I want to thank Mr. Villegas, the chair, and the California Athletic Commission. This is them demonstrating our responsibility as a state to make sure that these folks who put their lives on the line, who make a lot of money, who entertain a lot of fans, make a lot of money for our state and entertain a lot of fans, are able to live with dignity when they're done with this sport. And I thank the committee and respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Assemblymember Valencia, question.
Thank you. Assemblymember Haney, really appreciate you bringing this bill forward. As a fan of the sport, not very skilled in MMA. I was a former football player, but wish I would have been. Really appreciate, again, this bill coming forward. A question that I have, just for clarification's sake, the administrative side of the pension, it sounds like it'll be funded through an increased amount to ticket sales and things of that sort. But in terms of actually administrating the pension and the pension fund itself, who's going to be taking care of that?
Mr. Villegas, the chair of our athletic committee.
Madam Chair, good to see you again. Committee, the commission would contract with an investment services provider and pension plan administrator. And both contractors would be accountable for responding to the commission and under the supervision of the commission.
Wonderful.
So we would hire someone and oversee their performance.
And then would that cost be incurred by the athletic commission, or would it be included in the ticket sale component?
It would be included, and then the promoters would be, the promoters who hold the events would be the main contributors to the pension fund.
Wonderful. So then no cost to the athletic commission?
No cost.
Awesome. Just administrative?
Correct.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for that question and that answer, and respectfully ask for your aye vote.
And thank you, Assemblymember Valencia, for that clarification. And I also think clarifying that, as was mentioned, if I heard it correctly, the boxing world is already vested in this type of pension, so it would just allow parity. And with that, I do support this bill. It is a due pass to the Assembly Committee on Appropriations. Madam Chair?
Clerk Silva?
Aye.
Wallace?
Aye.
Mike Long? Friedman?
Aye.
Hart?
Aye.
Lackey, Valencia,
Yes.
And that bill is out.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.